Sorry, people. We are back. Since we had problems with the connection during our talk, we're going to have to do another hour or so with Malik Yoba. So whoever is coming back in, thank you for joining. We're going to extend this talk with Malik because of the numerous of connection problems that we had during our live talk in the first hour. So I'm gonna wait until he comes back in. Happy to see everybody jump back in. Hopefully everybody else on live is done now so we can go without any interruptions. Let's hope he got the message. I hope he's not going to get his plants. I'll just send him a message. Okay. Because there's so many things I want to touch on with this guy, especially knowing that there are people that are looking for some inspiration from him, that I don't want to just have a casual talk about nothing. I really want to touch on some things, and the questions that were asked, feel free to put them in the box, so nothing goes missed. Even though he sees some questions pop up, still put them in the question box so I don't miss them. Although I missed some of them because we had to, go out of the live. But let's see if he comes back in as well. Thanks everyone for coming back in. Again, questions in the question box, please. I saw a couple of questions about the recent allegations. I am not going to get into that. I want to keep it positive. So I have discussed that with him, and it's not something I want to discuss on my live talk. There we go. Yes. Ready then. We're just going to keep it moving. Here we are again.
I heard that. No, we can address that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to. We can
baby,
leave that for later. And it's not what I want to talk about right now.
I get you, baby. But the person, whoever asked that question also represents.
There were a few people.
Whoever asked that question represents other people who have the same question, the same answer or question. Clearly, they didn't read my response, right? So, generally speaking, we don't like to give light to allegations. The fucking allegation. Like someone took an opportunity to try to ride a moment where, the biggest thing, like we talked about in our call last week, is people miss the moment, right?
Yeah.
My position was a young man killed himself. He was being bullied. I took exception to bullying, right? It was black people, young black men bullying another young black male, right? And so my issue was, why is that okay, right? My issue is trans people do deserve the same love and respect as everybody else. And there's not a lot of cis heterosexual men that are going to stand up and take a position for a community that is misunderstood. But it was less about actually the standing up for the community, although I love and respect, certainly all of my trans friends that are both trans men, trans women,
Sorry. That's me.
My issue was the same point you made earlier in this live, which was this pandemic has shown us our humanity. It's shown us that we are all in this thing together. It doesn't matter who you are deserving of love, respect, protection, public safety, health, right?
Yeah.
And these are the things that we miss. I do work, around prison reform. I haven't been in prison, but I believe that people who are incarcerated deserve to be treated with humanity and respect and given opportunity to truly rehabilitate. I work with, populations that are impoverished, populations that suffer from poor educational systems. So for me, my mission as a human goes far beyond my work as an actor. And so, some people are more aware of my work on a community level, but I'd have nothing in my life if it wasn't for my spirit of service. When you reached out to me on MySpace 16 years ago, it was important to me to show you love.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah.
I didn't have to know you. You were someone who reached out to me with love, and so I gave you love. And so So yes, you know, people could want to talk about allegations, but I'd rather that they talk about the things that matter, right? The
That's
bullying.
why I said it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. But
why I said I don't want to.
we have to learn to bridge those conversations because some
Yeah.
people want to stay stuck on low vibrational energy, right? People love a fucking scandal. They love like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
They thrive on drama.
they love the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But people have a hard time looking in the mirror and talking to themselves about who they are.
Yeah.
You have to understand there's only certain types of people that are going to focus on bullshit allegations. Because at the end of the day, if shit was true, like, shit would have happened, right? And it's unfortunate. It's horrible, especially if I'm someone who has dedicated their life to the safety and protection of young people and serving young people, for someone to use that moment for their own selfish gain, which was basically a money grab, right?
Yeah.
And lawyers have been like, don't talk about it, whatever. But it's something that, you know, that should have impacted me because
Yeah.
I had a stellar fucking record and career. There's been no scandal, no bullshit on my name. And someone took a moment, but you see nothing fucking happened, right? They came out, jumped out in the moment when the world was like, what the fuck? Like, and then tried to take advantage of a moment. And so when you do the work of activism and when you do the work of putting yourself in the arena,
that
to
is
really fight for people, you're gonna take some fucking hits.
Yeah.
It's gonna come for you.
You're gonna be a target. Yeah.
No one in the history of humanity has ever stood up for what is right, and everybody said, "Yeah, you're right. Let's do that shit." Yeah, you're right. Okay, no one ever.
Yeah.
And so that work still continues. You know, one of the projects I'm working on is still about telling stories in that space because that space is important. Because guess what? I'm 52 years old. The first trans people I ever met, I was 16 in high school, right? There's a whole generation that has been born since I was in high school.
Right.
Trans. And my friends, when I was 16, got kicked out the house. They were forced to do sex work. They were forced to do things that, you know, are unsavory because people wouldn't let them get an apartment because they didn't have the right name, or they couldn't get a job because the gender didn't match their ID. That's some bullshit. Like, who else among us has to deal with that? Who? Even as hard as it is being black in America.
Yeah.
Like, no one's telling you can't get a job because my ID doesn't fucking match or my name doesn't match. And for me, to be able to have a level of compassion for people who don't look like me, who don't move like me, who don't speak like me, who aren't interested in the same things, that's crazy. And to have the
no, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and to have the confidence in my own sexuality to say absolutely. If
right,
you told
exactly.
me you were trans, if I'm looking at you and you're a beautiful woman, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm attracted to you. You're a human being. You're beautiful. Like, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Like, you know, and that's the part that people missed because they want to sexualize things, they want to demonize things, they want to vilify things, as opposed to say, hold on a higher vibrational level, what are we really talking about? We're talking about people being able to be free.
Yeah.
Whether you're a woman and you deserve the same equity in pay and appreciation, you deserve not to be slandered or harassed, right? If I'm a black person, I deserve that same shit.
Yeah.
If I'm a disabled person or differently able person, right? There are Asian people in America right now being attacked because
I know, yeah.
Right?
Like, that's my people.
So that is the thing. And that is the thing that you have to always stand for. And so the work ultimately will speak for itself. Social media is not the place for everyone to get the message, right?
It really isn't. No.
Yeah.
Because people also use social media in whatever way they want to use it. I was saying earlier that in the talk I had Monday, I had a whole bunch of trolls in there talking crazy. We didn't give it any attention because, first of all, you're talking all this shit in my live talk, and I don't know who you are based on my guest. This is not their life. This is my life. So luckily there were
a couple. For those people though. because
Huh?
we know we pray for those people
Yeah.
because
You have to. Yeah.
we know that happy, evolved, emotionally intelligent people do not engage in low vibrational behavior.
Nope.
We know that.
Yeah.
Nobody who is happy and confident and loving and full of grace and compassion is going to go anywhere in the world, online, in the street, talk to a waiter, talk to a flight attendant, talk to anybody with anything other than love and respect. And so occasionally, like there's a dude who he made a meme the other day, like, and tried to clown me based on what happened last year, right? And I called him on it. Like, I wrote him, I DM'd him. I was like, yo, King. Like, actually, that's not how I addressed him initially. I kind of was like nasty nice to him. Like, yo, I'm going to come for you with your bullshit because it is some bullshit, but I also know that you're better than that. Why are you doing that? Yeah. What joy are you trying to derive from trying to bring somebody down?
What happened to you? Yeah.
Black men. Because guess what? It was only black folks, too.
Yeah, that's the insane thing.
To me, it was only people that look like me.
Yeah.
There was no TMZ. There's no like Hollywood Reporter. No one. Why? Because allegations that are not substantiated by fucking facts.
Facts,
and proof is someone running their fucking mouth because they can. They don't care what kind of drama they cause. Like even for
what damage it causes.
Platforms that will bring you on just to try to clown you, so that they can get clicks and likes and views, and they can pimp your pain for their own profit. Like, that's some bullshit, but it's part of it. And so if you're going to be out here as an activist for humanity, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
You're going to get it. Who thought about, like, do you realize before COVID took over the world, there were 1 million displaced Syrian refugees? Entire homelands destroyed.
Well, we're in the middle of it because we get all the refugees.
The point I want to make is that how soon we forget, like, where are they right now? Who's talking about those people? Who's talking about
that's
people?
the trend. That's the next, because even what happened with you, the next day when there's another scandal or another trendy thing, people hop on that. It's not even real anymore. Like, people just get to the next entertainment. It seems.
People don't care about facts anymore. They care about feelings. And if you say the wrong thing, you hurt somebody's feelings, and forget what the facts are. It's unfortunate, but I'm old school, right? I started doing activism work when I was a teen. I started tutoring kids at 16 years old, 17 years old, working in after-school programs. By 18, 19 years old, I'm working with the City Kids Foundation. At 20, I'm working in 13 high schools, helping to reduce the dropout rate, working with the most marginalized people ever in New York City, right? Working in Rikers Island, working in Spofford Detention Center, doing that work in the trenches. That had nothing to do with making movies and being famous. It had to do with, I see you as a human being, and you are worthy of love and respect and support. I don't give a fuck what your past says. What I know is that, and a lot of this actually comes from, I was born Muslim. I started practicing Buddhism as a 16-year-old. A lot happened between 16 and 18 in my life. But one of the things that happened is I went to this World Peace Cultural Festival in 1885 in Hawaii. I was 17 at that point. And I saw 20,000 people from all over the world come together to participate in this festival. And I was part of a 1,500-man human pyramid. And those of us that were on the bottom of that pyramid were actually on roller skates. And we're roller skating down Kalakaua Avenue in Waikiki, carrying human life on our shoulders as we rollerblade. 1,500 people. I was part of that at 17 years old. And what that showed me was that people from around the world with a singular intention can come together to achieve the impossible.
Right.
And so much of my life has been driven by those moments in my youth where I saw things that inspired me to believe that we are better than we represent, and we have more in common than we like to admit. Right? And so my life has been on a particular path since then to work from that space, even as an actor, right? There's so
No, 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 no. Come back. I thought we were good. 15 minutes in, he called it in the last hour. Let me see. Okay, let's hope he'll come back in here. Yeah, he left. He's going to come back again. Yes, I saw your question, Talia, or he'll be back here. This is terrible in the middle of such a great, inspiring talk where he came from and what his path is. It's honestly one of the things that had me inspired since the day I met him to become a better person. It's those people that I want to have around me to make sure that I'm on my path in supporting and helping wherever I can. I'm not an activist, but I definitely am an advocate for the arts and for the underdog. So in my way, I try to contribute in that aspect. But yeah, it's crazy how people can judge others based on non-facts and not realize they destroy entire careers and damage people because of that. And I've never understood people, but as he said, it's unhappy people that are happy and loving will never do that. Yeah, always surround yourself with people with good energy. I wasn't always in that space. I dealt with a lot of negative people that used me, and that did not work for me. So needless to say that I had to get rid of that. And that's why I said that people like Malik have been such a major positive influence on my life and how I want to live. And it's always good to have people around you that not only support you and inspire you, but also uplift you in every which way possible. And that's the person that I try to be for people around me as well. It is hard and you don't always see it. And, you know, if you see the good in people, people will take advantage of that. I've recently had situations like that, and you just have to shake them off. You know, you don't blame yourself for it. Just know that people are manipulative, and we're only human. So be the best person that you can be. Don't become bitter because of what people did to you. Obviously, Malik is not bitter. He's praying for the people, which is something that I have to do as well. But yeah. Oh, that is sad to hear, Spicy Latina. But that's okay. I'm not, you know, you're on a path where you'll grow and you will find those people in your life, and you will, you know, some of my best friends I recently met. So, you know, it doesn't matter. If you stay on your course, you will attract the right people. You don't always have to find those people instantly. Lord knows I didn't. Like I said, it's the last few years of my life that I've had a solid circle. And so don't worry about it. Just keep doing you. All I can give as advice is do not settle for less. I've been alone, and oh, thank you. God bless you too. I've been alone before I will, you know, I am alone before I will involve myself with other people that are not good for me. I will do things on my own. I'll go to the movie theaters on my own. I'll eat out alone. I'll go on vacation alone before I have to do all those things with people that will only frustrate me and have a negative impact. So where's Malik? I don't know. Maybe his battery died. Maybe he's plugging it in. Maybe he's settling in the house again, trying to find a way to get good Wi-Fi. Well, Rome, if, you know, I agree with that. So when this live goes up on my IGTV, feel free to share it and show it to people that need to hear this. because it is hard for the young people, especially having to grow up in COVID-19 times. I mean, I can't even imagine how that is. You can't build those connections at this point other than being on your phone or your iPad or whatever. And I really hate monologues. So if anybody has questions for me, I know you don't know me, and most of you guys are here for Malik, who I hope is coming back. But I'm an open book. So whatever you want to ask me, feel free to do so. I wasn't planning on doing a live talk for 2 hours, but because of those connection problems, yeah, we have to go a little longer. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate you. And I know I still have to give you a call on some other subjects, but my life, my schedule's just been so hectic, but I have not forgotten about you. So I will get back to you as soon as I get a breathing moment. Oh, Scheme, thanks for being in here. I didn't even see you. I don't know how long you've been in here. Yeah, it's great to see people still tuned in. Malik, please come back. I hope your connection will, oh, there he goes. Yeah, I don't even see people coming in and out anymore. I don't know what's going on with this Instagram. But we're just gonna keep it going.
My phone died.
Yeah, yep. That I called it. I was like, either his phone died or, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
That's okay. But we were just, well, me and the people in here were just talking about how it's important to have a positive circle that uplifts you, and to make sure that, you know, you stay grounded and positive, and inspire others yourself as well.
Right.
And that the younger people should hear this live. So once I put this up on my IGTV, we will be spreading it to people that need to hear the message about loving everyone, and everyone deserves the same type of love from our fellow humans, no matter
Even the ones
who
you want
you
to
are.
beat their motherfucking ass.
What?
Even the ones you want to beat their ass, they deserve love. Like, sometimes you gotta smack them around and still love you, though.
Yeah.
You don't have to physically smack them, even though you want to. That's when you work on your verbal jujitsu.
Yeah, or just on your inner peace.
People, you know, the word gift the gab is a beautiful thing, because you can disarm people while you encourage them, while you smack them in the face for saying dumb shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we really want people to evolve. And I was talking about my Buddhist practice when I was younger, and
yeah,
the things that I did. And one of the things about Buddhism is that it recognizes Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, and this is true to a degree in other sects of Buddhism. It is written that there are 80,000 different sects, right? And you're people from Indonesia, so you know your Chinese roots, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But the notion that there are 10 inherent life conditions: hell, hunger, anger, animality, rapture, tranquility, learning, absorption, bodhisattva, Buddhahood. So those are 10 life conditions. And we recognize that in any given moment, all of us can fluctuate between any one of those life conditions. So right now, there are many people living in hell.
Yeah.
Right? A living hell. Like, no food, no money, no resources. They're by themselves somewhere. Maybe they're sick. Someone's on the floor right now, gasping for their last breath.
Yeah.
In their house where no one knows. Right now, with this COVID. That's the state of hell. Those Syrian refugees we talked about, right? But then, so say you are that Syrian refugee, and you are in a state of hell, right? The land is desolate. It's been decimated. There's no food. There's no water. Here comes a helicopter. A drop. In that drop is some water. There's some food, right? So hell, hunger, right?
Yeah.
So now you got that
Next
hunger,
stage,
too, right? And now you're being fed, so you can satisfy that hunger. Someone comes and tries to take that food from you. Anger. All of a sudden, you're in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And you're fighting, right? You beat their ass. Rapture. Okay, I beat that ass. Tranquility.
Next, yeah.
What did I learn? Oh, man, in this moment, I just learned that that wasn't even worth it. Got it. Absorption. Take that in.
Yeah.
Right? Bodhisattva. The bodhisattvas of the world are the people who move like the Mother Teresa's, like the Mahatma Gandhis, like regardless, some people will argue that to the cows come home, but very few will put themselves in that position to be the sacrificial lamb for the masses, right? You can throw Jesus Christ in there. You can throw Martin Luther King. You can throw John Brown.
Is that the top level or the last level?
The top level is Buddhahood, right? And all Buddha means is to be enlightened.
Yeah.
To be able to vibrate at such a high frequency that you see the lower frequencies. When you're on a lower frequency, you can't always see the higher frequency.
Yeah, you can't see.
But in order to get to the higher frequency, you have to go through each stage.
Yeah.
You have to evolve. And only through evolving, right? So a Michael Jordan could look at, you know, I mean, I can use a sports analogy, but it's like when you become an expert at something and you can see someone who's a neophyte, who's just beginning. Yeah. But as an expert, if you see qualities that you have as an expert,
yeah,
even though that person is just beginning, you can pluck that person up and say, oh no, you got the thing.
Yeah.
All you have to do is work this thing and let you see it so it's the same thing with our consciousness. It's the same thing with our emotional intelligence. As we evolve and grow as human beings, we recognize there are levels to this shit.
Yeah.
And the people who choose to vibrate on those lower frequencies can't see beyond the things that they can see. That's all the truth is. I'm gonna kick your fuck you, motherfucker. You ain't shit. All those people who troll and spew out negative shit and talk down to people of a high consciousness say to themselves, what on God's green earth would make me as a person log on to your page, spew out negativity at you? Evolved people don't do that.
Yeah, and honestly, I used to do it, and I'm at a level where I'm like,
was that your thing?
Huh?
Was that your thing? You used to do that?
No, I didn't do that, but I would engage in it because I felt the need to either defend myself or explain myself or make sure that people wouldn't believe what was said about me, until I was like, man, who am I even defending myself for?
Right.
Like, it's, if I engage, that's what they want. So when I stopped doing that, everything disappeared.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes you do, like, you know, back to the person who asked to address allegations. I have no problem doing that, right? I haven't spent a lot of time publicly doing it because it doesn't matter. Like, the shit went away. Bullshit. Like, if people talk, like, the truth will set you free. Period. Right. Most times. There are people who are on death row right now who were wrongfully convicted. So, but it takes people like, you know, the Innocence Project. So some of my friends, Johnny Cochran, Peter Neufeld, you know, Barry Sheck. It was those dudes who said, hold on, we're going to learn to use DNA to make sure that those that are wrongfully convicted, we can, you know, they can become exonerated. Right. And so it takes people of higher consciousness to continue to vibrate at a high frequency. And it doesn't take everybody to get there, because everyone will never get there. Right. But if we get that third, when we get that third,
then there's hope.
You can, because unfortunately, the way things often work, not just in politics, but also in business, the things that make the most sense that are going to take care of the most amount of people never happen. Yeah. People, greed.
Yeah, I was about to say power.
Which is all low vibrational frequencies.
Right.
And so now that we have platforms like this, and now that we have access, we can share this information so that people can grow. Because, you know, a lot of people don't even know there's growth to be had.
Well, that's something that
went into conditions. Well, it is what it is. You know, my mom was a crackhead, or my father was a bigot, and you know, it just is what it is. And they don't realize that they have the capacity to grow from these places. We all are. I am every single day, right? Especially during this time, right? We have nothing but self-reflection.
Right. Well, that's one of the most frustrating things that I encounter is when I see the potential in people and I try to nurture that potential and bring it out of them, but then they don't really want to because this is me. and I've learned not to deal with those people anymore. And it sounds really harsh, and I don't want to sound elitist, but for my own sanity and my own happiness, I cannot deal with people that don't want to grow. I
Well,
cannot.
because
I
you
mean,
can't drag other people's bricks, right?
I
Our
can't. Yeah,
our
I can
relationships with
help you.
people are sort of in three dimensions, right? It's either
Yeah,
thrust or drag.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
people, you're in their presence, and oh my God, I feel so excited. I feel so inspired. I'm a good X, Y, Z because this person inspires you.
right.
That's thrust. Then there's that person that every time you're around them, even if they don't open their mouth, you just feel low energy.
Yeah,
You're like, man, I don't know what it is about this person, man. And then there are those that are somewhere in the middle, where you don't really feel one way or the other. You're kind
right.
of, right? So the key is to be around people who provide thrust, people who
Yeah,
inspire you, people who encourage you to like move on the things that you dream about. A person put in your in the comments, what about juveniles that are doing life, right? They should
yeah,
have access to education. Well, for that person, the question then becomes, what are you doing to make sure that that's the case, right? And
yeah,
hopefully they are doing something in that realm. Personally, that's been my mission since forever, working with young people, making sure that
yeah.
they have access to everything they can. You know, a good friend of mine, my bestie, really, she started something called the Prison to College Pipeline Program. She's
Okay.
also the author of a great book called Incarceration Nations, um, which is all about imagining a world without prisons, because it's not about the prisons themselves. It's about, are we providing opportunities for people to become the best versions of
Of
themselves?
themselves. Yeah.
Education systems fail that. The capitalistic system fails us in that, because it's telling you, do for you. Forget about
And it's,
everybody.
if I may interject here, that's also a big difference between our different societies, because I know that the prisons in America are based on money, because they're privately owned and they get money
Right.
for all the people that are locked up, which is the complete opposite of over here, where all the prisons are government owned. And actually, the past few years we've closed down 17 prisons because of lack of criminals, so to speak. Now,
Well, there's both here, right? States own, run prisons, and cities run jails.
okay,
But the state governments, which ultimately comes from federal governments, definitely make provisions for folks to be incarcerated, because it can cost $80,000 a year or $100,000 a year, depending on where the person is,
which
to
is
keep
insane.
incarcerated, as opposed to educating them. Right, right. So that's the focus of that work, right? Is to help people see that a punitive system isn't always the answer. Granted, someone's a mass murderer, someone's doing some really heinous crime, right? Yes.
Right,
But a lot of times people get caught up in situations where they have no choices but to do the
yeah,
things that they do. Even if the world says, well, you have other choices, you can go to school, you can get education, but
yeah,
growing
it's
up in a
easier
family,
said than
everybody's
done.
hustling, or you
Yeah,
grow up in a neighborhood where everybody's banging, then those are the choices that you're going to aspire to. Just like when you grow up and your parents are real estate developers and you become part of the Tishman family or the Spires or any of these great real estate
right,
dynasties, right? So I think that back to compassion and back to how do we take care of everyone, the way I always looked at politics and even business is, as a parent, as a kid of a family with 6 children, my parents didn't just make sure that one or two of the kids were taken care of. They made sure everybody had what they needed.
everyone. Yeah,
So that's what I always aspire to do through all the work that I do. Whether it's as an actor, well, how do we make sure that if I'm as an actor on a show or film, are we making sure that diverse populations get to participate on a crew
right,
level, writer level, on an actor level? Whatever it is, are we being inclusive to make sure that everybody has a shot?
yeah. Which I think is becoming more a thing out here in the culture industry, because honestly, I was doing a live cast last week, like I said, and there were no people of color whatsoever.
On your
No-
on your live cast?
Well, the viewers, yes, probably, but they actually admitted that they got me to do the hosting, the presenting, because first of all, I'm a woman, because I commented on, oh, there's little women in here. And yeah, we looked at guests, women guests specifically to balance it out. But then I figured, okay, I'm also I guess the minority in here to add a little color, which is fine because they thought about it. But the industry that I'm in here, I deal with a lot of old white men, so to speak. And so
You mean
inclusivity,
professionally?
well, professionally, in the top layer of the entertainment industry out here
Yeah. Same
is
here.
is completely white old men, and we're trying to change that. There's a whole bunch of people out here. Joelle is actually one of them. You met her through me. That are very much rooting to more diversity and inclusivity on TV, in film, just commercial, out here, but also in the top layer. So I'm on the board of one of the most popular venues, which specifically adds that there have to be 7 members on the board, and they all have to be different, backgrounds and
Diverse.
genders, whatever. Yeah, it has to be inclusive and diverse. That's like one of the codes, actually, codes of.
Yeah, got it.
So it's very interesting to see that even though we're working on it, we still have a long way to go.
Right.
So for you to include all of that or try to think about that, that's always great. But
Well, those are the roots, like I said.
Yeah.
I was raised that way. I was raised in diverse communities, even though I was born in South Bronx, raised in Harlem. My mother made sure we always went to schools where there was diversity. I've always been interested in people that are different than me. We grew up with a steady stream of National Geographic as kids.
Right.
We didn't have television telling us, showing us that, only these images of people that didn't look like us was the only way to go. So I've raised my children that way to the best of my ability. I have a love for diversity of all kinds. The world is just a flyer, sexier place when it's more inclusive. It just is.
I
don't
agree.
want to be around a whole bunch of people that think like me. I mean, to the extent that they are compassionate and giving and loving, people, but in terms of the same exact politics or the same exact, interests or the same exact nah, man, that's how you learn.
Yeah, that's why I travel and I don't stay in tourist areas. I stay with the locals to learn from the cultures and to sniff up the everything, the food, the language. And for me, one of the interesting encounters that I've had, or realizations that I had, when I went to Ghana, I felt white. That's the first place ever where I haven't felt like that in nowhere else. And I've been to, I don't know, Jamaica or, wherever, South Africa.
Why white?
Because I was in a little market area. I was the lightest person there.
Well, why couldn't you just feel Asian like you are?
Because the people looked at me as if I was white.
What does that mean, though?
That means that, well, first of all, they thought I was rich. And mind you, I'm walking with Ghanaian people. I'm with the Ghanaians. And so
you mean Ghanaian
it was just a really weird experience. I mean, not a negative thing at all. I loved it there. The people were so beautiful there, and I got treated very nicely. But having traveled all over the world in to different countries and cultures, that was the first time I felt different.
But what does that even mean to say you felt white? I'm confused by that statement.
I don't really know, because over here I don't feel white. I've never felt white anywhere, really. But over there, it was just really different because there was nobody else there that looked like me. I was the only person in that village that was not like everybody else.
But did
so
people
I guess
differently?
Huh?
Did they treat you differently?
I mean, they treated me nice, but yeah, they were looking at me and, you
Typically
know.
say that, like, oh, you know, we're going to treat you like a white girl?
Well, one of the things that made me feel white is because everybody thought I was rich. People wanted to marry me. People wanted to come back to the Netherlands with me. People thought I could just, huh?
Comment ça va? I'm teasing you. Okay.
It was just for me, and the reason why I talk about this is because that was the only time I ever had that feeling. Just like the only time I ever felt immediately at home was the first time I went to Hawaii, because everybody looked like me and nobody looked at me weird.
Yeah, I can see that.
Even when I went to my homeland, my parents' homeland, Indonesia, people kept staring at me because I don't look like Indonesians.
Right.
The only place where I felt home was Hawaii, Guam, and the Philippines.
Have you been to Trinidad?
No, I still have to go. I have people there, and I still have to go.
Brazil?
I have been to Brazil.
Did you feel like other in Brazil?
I didn't feel different there because I could blend in, but it didn't. It's not my homeland, so it's a primal feeling almost. And I didn't have that in Brazil. Brazil was just like, "Ooh, I'm in Brazil," and you know, people saw that I wasn't from there, but I could fit in. I got the same in Spain and Italy. Hell, in New York, they call me Puerto Rican or Dominican. So,
have you been to South?
Huh?
Have you been to South Africa?
Yes, I've been to South Africa.
Yeah.
I was actually there when Mandela passed away. It was very intense.
How did you feel?
South Africa was weird to me because
guilty?
Yeah, exactly. It was weird for me because my Dutch part, you know, and the history that we have. But it's the same thing with going to Indonesia with my Dutch part, because I'm mixed. I'm like all over the place with my DNA, fighting with myself. Like, and then I'm German. How about the Germans and the Dutch?
But that's what makes you dope.
I'm fighting within myself from every DNA part I have.
But people like you, to me, having traveled the world and seeing people like you that are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like the real international flavor, because you can land in so many places in the world and people would claim you as one of them because you are, as they say, racially ambiguous.
Yes.
So that can be a superpower too.
It is, but then it's also funny when they start speaking to me in their own language and I'm trying to...
Then they call you a sellout because you don't speak Spanish, or, you know...
I have been called Hapa a lot.
What is that? Is that in Hawaii, Hapa?
Yeah, and Philippines as well, Hawaiian. It's, I guess, Pacific Islander for half, for mixed.
Right. I remember that. Right.
And I'm okay with that because I am.
I'm too. Half motherfucking crazy.
Well, that too. Don't tell nobody now.
All right, let's do some more questions so I can get out of here because I got to go buy some.
Let me see if there are some questions. There's a lot of questions about the shows and stuff, but I don't really want to talk about that. Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and that kind of resonates with some of the questions that were asked, is, you know, we were talking about the
I've been to South Africa, whoever asked that question. Timunye, we are one.
So you've dealt with the situation from last year, which was really damaging, but also painful and hurtful. You know, giving advice to people that are
I think we need to see things in full context. One of the things that was the most beautiful about that experience when I posted that post initially, which was about going against the bullying, because the people were alive with us now that weren't here before. And the fact that Mr. Maurice Willoughby killed himself, took his own life, because there were many reasons he did. In fact, his ex-girlfriend reached out to me recently, and I'm going to be speaking to her soon, because I'd love to hear from her what the experience was. But for a lot of people, both people from the transgender community, people just from the LGBTQIA community in general, people who weren't part of the community directly, expressed a lot of love and appreciation too, because they saw it for what it was, which was someone
Right.
who is in a position of some level of influence who can say, you know what, I see you, I see what you're doing, I see you
Right.
all people, and that's a beautiful thing. It's just the people who try to take advantage of the moment. And here's the thing too, those that speak the loudest in protest is usually because they have some real unresolved issues
Well,
themselves.
yeah. Just
Like,
like the
besides people,
unhappy people.
not dudes, like sexuality is a crazy thing because we've
Right.
inherited a truth that says it's only male and female, gay or straight, or maybe bi. But there's a spectrum of human sexuality. There are
Yeah.
people, one of my homies, I've known him since 2006. He's pretty much asexual. He likes women. He's had his little flirtation situations, but I have not known him to actually be with anyone
Right.
since I've known him. And, you know, so there are people who are all on the spectrum, and I think that everyone should be able to live their life as individual as a fingerprint, as long
How
as
they
it's
want to, yeah.
What's that?
But I want to go to the question that I was going to ask you. Having to deal, well, having had dealt with stuff like that, being a public figure, there's people, I want to go back to the acting again, and you know, being a person that people look up to and whatever. What is the advice that you give, or how do you stay at a good energy, at a higher vibration when those things come your way?
You got to stay focused on the mission, right? I was very clear what I was doing. Other people, look, here's the thing about human. Have you ever been to a restaurant and you order something and they bring you the wrong thing?
Yeah.
It happened pretty often?
Not often, but it had
But
happened.
often enough. You'd say in your lifetime it's happened at least 10 times.
No, maybe 5.
In your whole lifetime?
Yeah, my whole lifetime.
Well, then you're blessed.
Yes, I am. Food.
I don't think you're doing the right math. I'm sure there's been times in your
No, I'm serious.
been somewhere where you have asked for a specific thing and a person brings you something completely
Okay,
opposite.
maybe 10.
Easily, right? And so that is the way people experience life. You say one thing and people hear something completely different.
Yeah.
Saying it's important for people, first of all, it is wrong for people to be bullied. And why is it okay to bully people and then post the shit online? It's not cool that young black men especially don't have safe spaces to deal with their fragile masculinity, which people will call toxic masculinity, because they haven't been taught how to identify with themselves, with their own feelings of inadequacy, of curiosity, of confusion, of clarity, whatever it might be, right? Or any combination of those. And so that's why I'm going to offer a workshop to address that. That
Right.
was the post. Then some bullshit happens and people start spreading lies and rumors.
Mm-hmm.
Then you feel, I need to try to get ahead of this and keep people reminded of what it is that we are doing. We are creating safe spaces for people to talk about who they are fundamentally, so they can feel loved and respected and supported.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to address negative comments, false allegations. You don't have time to do that shit because you're on a mission. Once the mission is accomplished and you sit down, then that's when you can realize, like, wait a minute, people said some really crazy things.
Yeah.
People did some really crazy things. There are things that I need to do to address that. And I'm not going to lie, this shit was traumatizing. She was traumatized.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it until I was having a conversation with a friend, and a business partner of mine, his chief of staff reached out to me and said, give me a call. Now, the particular person I'm partners with happens to be a huge developer in New York, who's very significant in my life as a friend. And I was concerned that the negative implications could have impacted my business with him.
Right.
Did not. And they also happen to be men that don't look like me, who were very sympathetic because they, from their purview, they were like, yo, your people are being pretty rough on you. What the fuck is that about? Why are people bugging out? Why are they tripping? I see what you're doing. We know you. We know that you're about uplifting all of humanity. Why are people trying to turn it into something else? In that moment, I felt it triggered through my body.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a friend who was staying with us who did Reiki, and she did Reiki on me for 2 hours to help energetically.
Yeah. Put you back in balance again.
Right. But for me, tools like meditation, like reading, like writing, like prayer, like Reiki, like massage, like working out, these things that I use to make sure that I am aligned, mind, body, spirit, and that I'm continuing to vibrate on a high frequency and not be pulled down to those lower worlds like I told you about. Health, anger, animality, right? Those 4 lower worlds are real for people.
Yeah.
People are desperate. People are like, yo, I don't give a damn what happens to him. If I could take this moment to get attention to myself or get a bag or get whatever it might be, I'm going to do it. People do that all day long. I'm going to run up in your house and kill you to take what you have just because you have something I don't have. You know, it's no different than, you know, Dylan Root going into a South Carolina church during Bible study and shooting the place up. Like, they didn't know that guy.
Yeah.
They invited him into their church.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the same person that kills him. And so we live in a world where people are willing to do that. But you have to stay on your mission. You know, I'm not here to serve bullshit. You know, I know that I'm here to serve a God that is non-judgmental and loves us all.
Right.
And I don't super religious about it, but I feel that like my life is a testament to living righteously.
Yeah.
And
I can vouch for that. Yeah.
And development. Yeah, man. So that's what you stay focused on. But I don't want to diminish the impact.
No, and that's what
negative behavior can
what
have.
I was getting to. Yeah.
But if I didn't have the tools that I have,
right,
I'm not sure I could have survived it the way
if
that
this would have happened 20 years ago, you probably would have reacted completely different.
Nah, because I had those tools then too.
Okay. So one of the things that you explained with those levels reminded me of something my pastor said a couple weeks ago during the online sermon. He was basically telling people to learn to see things from above. Because when you're on the ground, you only see yourself. You only see this. When you're higher up, you have an overview of the bigger picture. And that's basically a comparison to what you were saying. Like if you're higher, you can see what's going on those lower levels and have a better perspective of how to respond to that. Right. But if you're on the ground, you're only seeing what's in your immediate area.
See a lot more of this, right? As if this pandemic continues and isolation and quarantining continues, people with the least amount of resources are going to absolutely go into those lower worlds.
Yeah.
Hunger, anger, animality.
Right.
There's going to be more robberies. There's going to be more murder. There's going to be more people taking what other people don't have because those people are hurting.
Yeah.
But it is also true that there are people who are going to be in that exact same financial, situational dynamic.
Yeah.
Who are going to still vibrate at a higher frequency.
Yeah.
There are places that you can go in this world right now. And I remember this is one of the things that blew me away about being in Ethiopia for the first time, where it's clearly an impoverished nation. But as part of the culture, particularly between men, and this is fascinating to see with black men, and this is true in other parts of Africa especially, black men can be very affectionate but not sexual toward one another. You see men holding hands, you see men sitting on each other's laps, you see men with their arm around each other, because there isn't this which ultimately came from, a patriarchal white supremacist
Right.
idea, right? They walk into countries like that. No, y'all better stop doing that. That's gay.
Right. Right.
That's wrong. Don't do that, right? And we as Americans have been subjected to that. But for indigenous cultures who understand the humanity in each other,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if I don't have anything. I remember pulling over to the side of the road, and kids would run up to the car, and anything you had, they were
Yeah.
grateful to receive.
Yeah.
Sleeve of crackers from a box, pencils, whatever it was, and we would stop deliberately, like give out stuff to people. Then that kid will take what they got the sleeve of crackers. They're gonna share it with the kids around them.
Right.
You don't really see that in places like
Well,
America.
the thing that I've kind of realized is where I'm from, Indonesia. There's tribes, communities, big families, always taking care of each other. That's the tribe life. In Africa, you got tribe life. In South America, you got tribe life. In Europe, there's no history of tribe life. Only
Well, I wouldn't say
plundering
entirely.
and
There's certainly villages where people. It's true. Yes, people can be thoughtful and altruistic toward one another.
I can't. You're keeping the mic. Yeah. Oh, we
Yeah.
got only 4 minutes left, so I do want to round it up a little bit.
All right, it's time to go.
It's time to go. But one of the reasons I started this was for inspiration and motivation. And if anything, you gave us a whole bunch of that. And definitely food for thought for people that may not have known about what you just taught us about. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, I'm already blessed to have you in my life to have these talks with. So I'm happy that I could share your mind and your knowledge with other people today, even with the first hour full of connection bullshit.
Oh, I see you, Leslie Ann. Malik the motivator. That's my chief of staff right there.
Hi,
Black Girls
Leslie
Eat.
Ann.
Follow Black Girls Eat. Y'all can get some good recipes and a whole lot of love. But yeah, man, that's what we do, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry, everyone, that I couldn't answer everybody's questions, but I think he said a lot of things that didn't need any questions or answers. And we might just do it again.
People could DM me direct.
Yes. And we might revisit this conversation again, because I didn't really get into what I wanted to bring out of it. But this
What's
was
your
more
last question before we get off here?
What, the last question?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you something.
Yes.
Oh,
the babies?
This is, when I started, this was a new box of blueberries. I think I'm
well,
about.
At least your eyes will be happy. All right, I'm getting the countdown. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely talk. I will see your little garden soon, and yeah, I love you, man.
Here's some herbs. Here's some mint. That's some rosemary, some thyme that I put in my dishes.
Oh, people already want to follow up, so we'll come back next month or so.
All right, baby. Love you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.